Welcome to Living Vividly, the podcast where health, wellness, and curiosity collide. I'm Jackie, the founder of Vivid Health and Wellness, your guide on this journey to living your happiest and healthiest life.
My co-host Daphne, the unconventional dietitian, is always ready to shake things up and bring a fresh perspective to your wellness journey. And we can't forget Dustin, our producer, who keeps everything running smoothly behind the scenes. Together, we'll chat with health and wellness experts along with everyday people who have inspiring stories and practical insights to share. If you're ready to nourish your body, move better, and discover simple ways to thrive, you're in the right place. And hey, if you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to leave us a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Today, we are going to talk about a topic that we've been trying to avoid. Not necessarily controversial, but we've talked about it and thought, I don't know if we want to go there, and here we are. And so this is all about the weight loss injectable medications. So we're going to do a little bit of an overview of just kind of like insulin resistance, what happens, and then we can dive into the different types of weight loss and diabetes medications, pros, cons.
Like, you didn't want to talk about it if it was just in passing. Like, you didn't want to just mention it. We thought if we were going to talk about it, we need to talk about it.
Well, I didn't want to talk about it at all, honestly, because I have very conflicting feelings about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about it to really give a full opinion, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a scientist.
What?
I know. New information.
I think it's like the elephant in the room.
It is.
I mean, we have to just address it and kind of give our thoughts on it. People often want to know, what just differing opinions,
right?
Different opinions about it. So, okay, so we're talking about injectable medications. We will be talking about Semaglutide and Tirzepatide. And I first wanted to give a little bit of an overview because when we were talking, there were some questions about like, what is blood sugar balance? How does insulin relate to glucose? That sort of thing. So I drew my handy dandy little picture that looks like a kindergartner drew it, and it is clearly not to scale, but this is the easiest way that I can explain it. So we have here your blood vessel. So the red is your blood vessel. Your liver is involved in managing blood sugar, your pancreas, and then your body cells. So glucose is made two ways, or we get glucose in our body two ways. One is through the liver. So the liver has the ability to make glucose. It's called gluconeogenesis. And so the liver can put glucose into your bloodstream when you've gone a long period of time without eating. So like when you're fasting either overnight, 8 hours, if you extend that 12 hours, 14 hours, long periods of time without putting glucose or carbohydrates into your body, your liver is tasked with managing your blood sugar. So your liver can put glucose into your bloodstream, and you'd always have glucose kind of hanging out. You'll always have glucose hanging out, and then the liver can put glucose into your bloodstream. The other way that you get glucose is eating anything that has carbohydrates. So whether you are going to consume something like an apple or a slice of bread or drink a regular soda, all of those have carbohydrates of different degrees. They will all put glucose into your bloodstream. So you eat something that has carbohydrates and you get a lot of glucose into your bloodstream. And this is for everyone, whether you have diabetes or insulin resistance or not. Carbohydrates always turn into glucose. So what happens at this point is your pancreas gets a signal, and all of this is hormonal driven. So your pancreas gets a signal to make insulin. And that goes into the bloodstream. So these little triangles are insulin. And the job of insulin is to attach to your cell. So this represents your muscle cells and your brain cells. It attaches to a cell, and whenever that does that, it opens up a little door, and the glucose can go into your cell. So your cells are run by glucose. And the way that the cells get glucose is through insulin. So insulin attaches, the door opens, and glucose can go into the cell.
Insulin is like the key.
Insulin is the key to open the door to allow your cells to use glucose. That's how your cells function.
So you need
So that's
glucose.
your cell's food.
You have to have glucose and you have to have insulin. So it's just like whenever you put gasoline in your car runs using gasoline or electricity, and your cells run using glucose. That's just basic physiology. So what happens whenever you become insulin resistant, you're still getting glucose the same way. Your pancreas is still producing insulin. When this insulin attaches, this door doesn't open up. So then we have glucose that's not able to go anywhere. So in response to that, your pancreas makes more insulin. So now you have all of these insulins trying to open up this door. Okay?
Which helps it to happen?
Well, you're
Better
just
chance?
needing more insulin to be able to make that happen.
Okay. Oh,
So-
the insulin opens the door.
Insulin opens the door. If the door isn't opening, then you need more insulin to try and get the door to open.
Heavy door.
Heavy door,
Weak
yes.
insulin?
We've now upgraded to a crowbar instead of a key.
Exactly.
Wait, so is that weak insulin or heavy door?
Heavy door.
Okay.
Yeah. So insulin is also a fat storage hormone. The more insulin that you have in your body, the more likely you are to store fat. So as a protective mechanism, if insulin can't get the glucose into your cell, it will pick it up, come over here, and make a fat cell. And store it there. It's protecting your blood vessels from having too much glucose in your blood vessels. So insulin is not a bad thing. We have to have insulin. We use insulin, but whenever we have excessive insulin for a long period of time, that's where we start to gain weight. Usually it's kind of in the midsection. And also that is what triggers insulin resistance. So your cells just become less likely to be able to utilize insulin whenever it's been flooded with insulin, whenever there's too much.
Whenever you have insulin resistance, your body takes the excess glucose and creates a fat cell.
Yes.
To protect the blood vessel from having too much glucose.
Right.
What happens to the blood cell or the blood vessel if it has too much glucose? Like, what is the consequence of that?
So you can think of it as, this is not technically what's happening, but it would be similar to having granulated sugar kind of scratching the inside of the cell, the inside of the blood vessel. So it creates inflammation, little bitty tears that cause inflammation whenever there's an excess of glucose in the blood vessels. Circling back around to diabetes. So insulin resistance is what comes first. If insulin resistance is not addressed, over a period of time, and these things happen over 7 to 10 years. So it's not an overnight thing, even though your doctor may have told you last year that your blood sugar was fine and this year you have diabetes. It happens over about a 7 to 10 year period is what the estimate is. And so if insulin resistance is not addressed, then that will turn into your body no longer being able to use insulin efficiently and so it can't regulate blood sugar the way that it used to.
And insulin resistance makes the door heavy or makes you produce less insulin?
Makes the door heavy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So at the diagnosis of diabetes, this process has been happening for years and years. When these medications came out, so we're talking, first it was Ozempic that was produced. And Ozempic was, I think in 2017 is whenever it was released. And so it's been a long time. It was released with the intention of managing blood sugar. And we'll talk about how it did that in a little bit. But then they recognized that it started to help with weight loss too. And so the same company that released Ozempic also released the weight loss version of it. Same thing, it's still semaglutide, but they released it as a weight loss medication. So we have Ozempic, which is for diabetes. We have Wegovy, which is for weight loss. Both made by the same company. Both GLP-1 agonists. So both kind of working in a very similar way, pretty much the same thing. Then we had Mounjaro came out. So Mounjaro is Tirzepatide. Mounjaro is the diabetes version. And Zepbound is what is advertised as weight loss. And that is a GLP-1 plus GIP, which is another polypeptide, which helps with insulin also. And so it's a kind of a double medication, or it works in a dual fashion. And so those were the next version, and those were 2022, 2023, something like that. So these are all relatively very new medications for the purpose of blood sugar management and weight loss. We've recognized that they work for weight loss. We've heard a lot about them. A whole lot about them for a lot of different reasons. And so we'll kind of dig into those a little bit, but they work in a very similar fashion.
Let's define what is GLP-1.
So GLP-1 is what's called a polypeptide, which is glucagon-like peptide. And it is basically a peptide that helps. You have these receptors for GLP-1. So the peptide is the GLP-1. The receptor is what accepts the GLP-1, and it helps to regulate appetite and kind of manage your appetite. It can slow down how quickly things move through your digestive system,
Making you feel full?
Yeah, so it keeps you full for a longer time.
Oh, and then insulin.
And then it helps with your insulin, the way that your body utilizes insulin. It makes it more insulin efficient. So less resistant, more efficient.
Is that the only, like, so if you are experiencing insulin resistance, what are some ways that you can address it? Because you said if you don't address it, it can move into diabetes. What are ways to address it?
The lifestyle version of it, I think of it as the 4 pillars of insulin resistance. Sleep, quality and quantity. So sleep, one night of poor sleep can affect insulin resistance for a couple of days. So sleep, stress. We all have stressors, but stress management. And that would be both what we think of as like psychological stress, like a deadline or traffic or just day-to-day life stuff. But also stress could be an internal injury. So that inflammation that might be going on. So that's a stressor for your body. So sleep, stress, exercise and movement, and of course your food will make a big difference with insulin resistance. So lifestyle-wise, we have these 4 things that can help. Medication-wise, there are lots of medications that can help with insulin resistance. The newer ones that are coming out are the ones that we're talking about, the Semaglutide and Tirzepatide.
So it's a GLP-1 agonist. Meaning it creates that polypeptide in your body, or?
GLP-1 agonist is a type of medication that mimics the effects of a naturally occurring hormone called GLP-1 in the body.
So the GLP-1 agonist is basically like pretending the same thing that your body is. It's basically pretending that your body has more GLP-1 in it.
And that in turn regulates your insulin, makes you feel full, makes you feel foolish, makes you feel full. And
tell us how you really feel.
And regulate. No, I already said
and
that.
slows your digestive system.
Okay.
So we have these GLP-1 receptors throughout our whole body. We have them in our mouth, throughout our digestive tract. So some like in the upper digestive tract, but definitely in our small intestines.
So it sounds like a miracle drug.
Yes, sounds very magical. Obviously, whenever it has been treated as though it's a miracle too.
Well, I'm sure it has helped a lot of people that have diabetes, which is what it was created for.
Right. So I think when your blood sugar mismanagement has gotten to the point where it's diabetes, that is a sign that there's a lot of metabolic dysfunction. And so from the beneficial side of the medication is that it can help improving your metabolism. So it can help with decreasing your insulin production and making that insulin more efficient. It can help with the way that your body utilizes glucose and insulin, which can overall help with improving metabolism. I think it has been taken too far in some cases, and there are definitely some downsides to it. But if used appropriately, I do think that it is a tool to help with managing glucose. In the same way that I think that a continuous glucose monitor is a tool to help you better understand your glucose changes. So I think it can be really helpful. I've seen it work really well with a lot of people, but because it is miraculous, there's a lot of mismanagement of it also.
We're talking about them collectively, right?
Collectively. So Tirzepatide is a little bit different. It is 2 different peptides. So it's the GLP-1 and it's GIP, which stands for glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. But it's a very similar reaction. So they work, so that one's a double peptide, which is a little bit more advanced than the GLP-1. So that would be like the second version of this weight loss medication. And there are many other versions that are going to be coming down the pike. I mean, this is just the very beginning of scratching the surface for these weight loss meds.
Oh, so Tirzepatide has both?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
is that why
one
it's so
peptide,
much
it's
harder to
peptides.
find? Because it's... Isn't that one harder to find than the other?
I don't think so.
No?
What is that supposed to do to it? That
What
extra...
makes the GIP more special? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure.
Just something they could do to
It's
advertise
just a
it on their
dual
own.
action. Yeah, I mean, it's a dual action. It's made by a different company than the Semaglutide originally was.
It would be nice if it would help prevent the problems.
Well, so the way that we
that's
can
coming.
prevent the problems is,
Another drug.
Well, no, there are a lot of things that we can do to prevent the problems. But I think that our society has gotten so far down the path of metabolic dysfunction for decades that something like this can be helpful to reverse some of that. But it is a tool that should also include lifestyle modification. And that's where I think we've kind of gone wrong with it, is that people are using it as the thing that's going to change them. And without the lifestyle modification, just like everything, the chances of weight gain coming back are very high.
Yeah.
And so your question of, is this something that you have to take forever? Well, if you ask the drug manufacturers, they would say yes, that you have to continue to take it. Obviously, people get on it, they get off of it. I don't know that we've really seen enough longevity of people being on it for a long enough period of time and then being off of it to really be able to say, how much it's going to affect their metabolism for the long haul.
Yeah, because at the longest, the possible person on it is 8 years. Is that what we said?
2017 it was released. Yeah.
So that's the longest possible. They could have even been on it to even see that.
Yeah, we need like decades long studies to know what the long term effects are going to be. Just a few people that I know that have gotten or taken it and then gotten off. They've had the weight gain plus GI issues, just wrecked their gut, like stomach paralysis almost.
Yeah.
A lot of side effects that they did not anticipate in the beginning.
Yeah. So the benefits of it are that it can help with managing blood sugar. It can help with weight loss if done appropriately. So I do think that there is a space for this type of medication in the arsenal of all of the other different types of medications that are used for diabetes. There are a few issues that I see. One is that it's not well regulated. So it is literally the wild, wild west where we have compounding pharmacies that are putting this together, where the compounds are coming from. They may or may not know. The actual medication doses can be increased, I think, too quickly. The different medications are dosed a little bit differently, but the starting dose is a low dose. And then generally speaking, you'd want to stay on the starting dose for at least 4 weeks. So these are weekly injections. And then after 4 weeks, assess, is it working? Is it not working? And then it can be increased. I should say that obviously, just like with any medication, we would want to use the lowest efficient dose so that you're not getting to a point where the dose gets increased more than what your body is able to utilize. And I have seen that happen often where the dose gets increased too quickly and can cause a lot of mostly GI side effects. So nausea, vomiting, severe constipation, gastroparesis, which is the paralysis of the stomach, and that may or may not be able to be reversed.
Well, that's scary. I've heard of people doing like a quarter of a dose. Like I want to start 25% of a normal starting dosage, and they don't have the side effects, like the GI side effects, and it's still working.
That's what I was going to ask. But does it do anything?
Yeah. So you can do microdosing, which is starting at very, very small doses, and it can be just gradually increased. And people definitely do have benefits with that. I didn't say this earlier, but I think one of the other benefits to using it is that it can quiet the mental food chatter that's in your brain. So the constant conversation or discussion that you're having with yourself about food, what to eat, when to eat, that can get, for people who have been on a weight loss journey for a long time, that can be exhausting. And so
does that happen because of blood sugar?
Or just like trying to stop eating consumes every thought that you have. So
that more satiates that.
So it calms that down, that food chatter.
Why? If you're not hungry.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why? How does it do that?
It suppresses your appetite.
That's what I'm asking. Okay, so
it's suppressing your appetite. Okay. So I would imagine it's the increase in GLP-1, that polypeptide, that just calms down the mental chatter. So you're not desiring to eat food.
So it's not
all the
like
time.
Actually calming down your cerebellum or something.
No. It's just the food chatter.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so for some people, that can be such a huge benefit to not hear that constant discussion about food. So it kind of frees them to be able to think about other aspects of life and not everything be food related. And I've seen that be tremendously effective and helpful for people because they can then put into practice the things that they've been trying to do for so long, but just overwhelmed by the mental chatter.
Which should make it easier if you get off of it to still not have that mental chatter.
Right. But also the weaning off process is a process too.
Is it?
Yeah. So
Sorry, I know we're not there yet. But
well, so we
weaning
can
off the medication.
Yeah. So the The challenges that I've seen with the medication is, one, there are certain people who are not appropriate for it. So anyone who's ever had like an eating disorder, I think is not appropriate for one of these medications. Yet eating disorders are often not discussed with your primary care. So they may or may not know, and they may or may not even ask the question if anyone has ever had a battle with an eating disorder. And I have seen that happen.
We're seeing that right now with Sharon Osbourne. She's being very vocal about it. She got on this medication and now she's like 70 pounds. Yeah. She's withering.
She was on one of these?
Mm-hmm. And she had an eating disorder prior. And I think it's just her body's not holding any weight now.
Yeah. So that is definitely a big question to ask. I've seen it, because of the way that it slows down the motility of food going through your digestive tract, it can cause constipation. So for people who either have a prior issue with constipation or any challenges with, moving things through their system, it will slow that down. And, moving things through your system, moving toxins through your system is one of the ways that we eliminate toxins. And so if that doesn't happen, then toxins can get reabsorbed back into your bloodstream and just complicate the issue.
Are you talking about like H. pylori and like other maybe?
Well, estrogen is one of the toxins that gets eliminated through your bowels. And so if you are not having regular bowel movements, estrogen can get reabsorbed back into your body.
Well, that's not a good thing.
So, being able to eliminate, there's a reason that we poop. We're supposed to poop daily. It's to be able to eliminate things out of your system that are not supposed to be there, that your body can't do anything with. Anyone who has constipation, really, we need to resolve the constipation first before we start slowing down the digestive system.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, besides the GI issues, it's also causing lean mass loss, right? That's a big problem right now.
Right. So it can cause weight loss. Some of that weight, ideally is going to be fat loss, but it can cause muscle loss. And then you were saying that you read that
I watched a video.
Mass.
Yeah, Peter Attia put out a video recently where he was saying, or he was interviewing another doctor who's involved with the studies on these medications that are coming out, similar or in response to. And he has done MRI testing on patients that are on these medications, and let's just say you lose 30% of your body weight. So that's if you weigh 200 pounds,
60
pounds. 75% of that 60 pounds may be fat or less, but the other percentage of that is lean mass, and that isn't just muscle, it's organs, bones, water, skin. So that's critical. I mean, obviously your muscle mass is critical too.
Yeah.
But that's not what you want to lose. We want to lose fat, and we need that lean mass to function and fight off sicknesses. And
right. So in order to prevent most of that muscle mass wasting away, you have to do two things.
One, don't take the drug.
Well, you have to take the drug. Enough protein. So you have to eat enough protein to be able to build or maintain your muscle mass. And you have to do some kind of resistance training against that muscle. So is this extra protein or the amount of protein your body normally needs? A normal amount of protein. Yeah. And maybe a little bit on the higher end of normal, but it's not excessive protein. Yeah. But most people are not getting the amount of protein that they need regardless. So
not on the medication, they're not getting enough protein, but especially on it.
And then if we decrease your appetite, then it makes it a little bit harder. Like you have to be very, very intentional about eating protein or prioritizing protein in your meals. So you have to have enough protein and you have to resist the muscle. So if you're starting a medication, one of these weight loss medications, we really have to use this as something that is a tool to be able to implement the other aspects. So we need to use it as a tool to be able to implement increasing your protein and really being more intentional about your eating habits and your eating practices. We have to do some kind of resistance training, whether that is with resistance bands, preferably more with heavy weights, but you have to resist the muscle if you want to keep it. Otherwise, it makes it way too easy for that muscle loss to happen. So again, in the right company, I think this can be used as a tool. But if the medication is going up too quickly, if it's being prescribed to the wrong people or people who are not really well equipped to be able to utilize it, if they're not using it as a tool to be able to implement these other health practices, then they're setting themselves up for another roller coaster ride with their weight.
Well, this reminds me of the 90s, whenever we grew up with this low fat phenomenon and we all idolized skinny.
Right.
And I'm getting flashbacks from that where we all want to be skinny, but that's not the goal. The goal is to be strong and not fall. And, we have kids, we want to be able to lift them up and not just
drop them,
not get old and frail. I'm worrying, and we've talked about this too, that we are pushing the diet culture thing again, and this could be problematic.
And so that's another concern that I have is for people who want to lose, maybe 10 or 15 pounds just for sheer vanity reasons.
Yeah.
That is a big concern for me. It makes me very sad that someone who can't lose 10 or 15 pounds just because they want to look better has such challenges or trouble just accepting themselves for who they are. Mm-hmm. That in itself just makes me sad that we live in a culture where an extra 10 or 15 pounds is going to make such an impact on your confidence and your self-esteem. So that's a whole nother separate, I guess, issue. But
really, the fact that you're willing to risk all these things just for that.
For 10 or 15 pounds.
The other part of that is these physicians that are prescribing it to someone who might have 10, 15 pounds to lose. That's an ethical question for me. Does this person really need this medication?
Yeah.
Are we giving this just to people that really need it, or are we
just pushing the idea that skinny is better,
right,
and that thinness is better,
right,
or that they don't care and money is better?
Well, so that's another issue, is that in order to get the medication, you're always going to be evaluated by someone in the health field, whether it's a doctor or a nurse practitioner or PA. Somebody is going to be evaluating you, but there are many places you and I know that you can get these medications and be just vaguely evaluated. I mean, basically, you just have to say that you want to lose the weight and you can get the prescription. So it's not really
really not hard.
You say the 3 magic words and you get it.
Right. So that's, it just pushes the idea that, are we really looking out for our health, for public health, or are we looking out for the dollar that it's going to make me if I write the prescription for you?
I mean, that's my biggest thing is I'm already incredibly skeptical of the pharmaceutical industry in general. I mean, I think a lot of the products that they have created are beneficial and have helped us tremendously. But whenever we're just blindly prescribing, and the fact that they're starting to give this to kids, that's my problem. We need to be pushing these lifestyle changes. And
give it to kids for weight loss?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's too much. I think that the people that really need it, that have 50, 100 pounds to lose, that are battling the insulin problems, 100%, it's a great tool. But we really need to reflect on what we're doing to our body and our society.
So I think it has brought about something that we have talked about for a long time, but it's really brought attention to the food industry, how poorly the food industry is done, like what the food industry has done to our metabolism. And we've seen it in the 80s and 90s. It was fat free. Then now that same thing is happening with protein. Like everything has added protein in it because we're trying to push protein. And so to some extent, maybe that's helpful, but corn chips that have protein in them are still corn chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a marketing tactic.
It's all very much, it's a marketing thing. So I said that for you.
I loved it.
Chip's
I loved it.
Chip's a chip.
And she's also only saying that because she had corn chips the other day.
Don't put it in.
I don't care if you do.
Okay. It sounds like the things you have to do to make this a viable weight loss solution could just be the weight loss solution without the drug. Everything you have to do when you take this drug to make sure you're healthy will...
It could be a good jump start.
Yes, potentially. Some people have a metabolism that is so dysregulated that doing some of those things is still not working for them.
Okay. So this will help regulate.
It will help to manage the metabolism. It will help to make the metabolism work more efficiently.
Oh, okay. I guess I missed that.
It can do that. I mean, it can be a tool for that, but we can't rely on that solely in and of itself. So people who have diabetes, it can be very helpful with. People who have polycystic ovarian syndrome, also known as PCOS, which has insulin resistance as an underlying factor, it can be really helpful for that. It is being used in lower doses, like microdosing for perimenopause in some cases. Again, because of an insulin resistance factor in the perimenopause phase. But with all of these, we still have to change the lifestyle. We still have to look at it from the perspective of this is a tool that is going to help making the lifestyle changes a little bit easier.
I think that's the missing link. I think there's a really big gap in the education of the providers giving it, where they probably don't even know the lifestyle. I mean, most of our physicians out there are not functionally minded normally. So
meaning they're not digging into what you're doing in your lifestyle.
I think that we just need to equip people with the knowledge that they need to make informed decisions. I mean, I've heard of so many people getting it that there was no conversation about what are you going to be eating? What are you going to be doing to move your body? They just get the shot and then live the same life that they've been living. Now you're eating so much less because you can't eat more. So you're becoming micronutrient deficient because you're still eating, your one meal a day might be McDonald's or whatever it is. Like you have to be so much more mindful about your food and your exercise. I really think that we are doing a huge disservice to the people that are on it for the most part by not telling them what they also need to be doing.
Well, you know those commercials that are like, may cause nausea, vomiting, constipation, blah, 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 blah. Instead of that, it should be, while on this, you should exercise. You should eat more. Like, it shouldn't tell you, here's all the bad things that it could do, because nobody hears that anyway.
Right. So because this has been kind of viewed as a miracle, it's the easiest thing to do. And so a lot of people are using it as just a miracle drug. You know, it's the easiest thing without really knowing, I guess. I feel like everybody kind of knows that they have to change their lifestyle, but if it's not emphasized that when you take this, you also do this, this, and this, that information gets lost. And so it is viewed as a miracle drug. And so it's working. So that's one issue that I have. Another one is that if you don't have insurance coverage, then, which a lot of people don't, so perhaps if you have diabetes, you have insurance coverage, perhaps. But if you have like prediabetes or insulin resistance, you likely don't have insurance coverage for this. And so the cost is out of pocket. And it's quite pricey. I mean, it can be, upwards of hundreds of dollars up to $1,000-ish a month. And so it's creating a segue, a split in the population. So we're not really viewing this as public health. It's pretty much, if you have the money to pay for it, then you can pay for it and you can get the miracle. Where there's a large segment of the population that really could use it. They don't have the money to pay for it, and they don't have the diagnosis that it could be helpful. And so we're creating a bit of divide in the population. And that to me feels very, very, very unethical.
Not to mention the shortages that it's causing for the people. And I'm sure they've worked out some of those kinks, because I know in the beginning, whenever the weight loss craze started, people with diabetes weren't able to find it.
Yeah. I think that's less of an issue.
And it's just becoming a money-making, like anything that turns out this much cash, I'm skeptical of.
Right. You have to question motive, motive behind who is willing to write a prescription for something that's going to make them hundreds of dollars per injection.
I'm pretty sure the company that created it is based out of Sweden, and I don't think that they prescribe it in that country.
Ozempic is manufactured in Denmark by Novo Nordisk, a Danish pharmaceutical company.
How many people in Denmark? Is it Denmark you said?
Denmark.
Are prescribed.
Ozempic is proving to be a powerful growth engine. Its worldwide sales have increased over 60% in the last year alone. United States is one of its largest markets, quadrupled between 2020 and 2022, is reaping the fruits of the craze. Its net profit has more than doubled between 2019 and 2023. Novo became the largest company in Europe, and its rise has eclipsed the Danish economy, creating a lot of value on one hand, but an imbalanced economy on the other. Nearly 1 out of every 5 Danish jobs created last year was at Novo.
20% of Danish people work for this pharmaceutical company.
That's the weirder way to say it.
That's
So like 20% of Americans work for the government. That's a made up number, but I'm sure it's high. Like 20%. It's most of our jobs in the United States are government. They're making so much money that they are the largest employer in the country.
Denmark's gross domestic product would have shrunk last year without the contribution of the pharma sector. In other words, the company had almost single-handedly rescued the country from a recession. When we're talking about, this isn't only of money, this is for the country at this point. This is crazy.
And America is its biggest customer.
Of course.
But we only have like 7% of the world's population, or it's a small number. That's a Google fact check me. I think it's like 7% of the world's population or 4% of the world's population, but we're like 40 or 70% of the world's pharmaceutical purchases. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Wild.
Dynamic. Well, I guess we can agree that the medication itself is not evil, and using it is not a character. Like, this is not a character assassination for anybody that's on it. I think we just need to start having more open conversations about the side effects.
What's happening.
And the motive behind why we're on these medicines.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's deeply ingrained in us that we want to lose weight. We want to be fit. And our modern lifestyle doesn't make that easy.
Right.
So I get it. But
this is
at
not
what
a quick
cost?
fix.
Yeah.
This is not a quick fix. We've seen the weight loss trends over the years, and there's always a repercussion. So the weight loss, there's always a repercussion that happens. So if you decide that you're going to start the medications, either one of them, I think that lowest effective dose is important. We also need to look at your other lifestyle choices and use this as a tool to support other lifestyle choices. So this should not be a medication only approach. It has to be in conjunction with other things so that we can make it work and be effective for you long term.
And if you don't have a functional physician on your side, do your own research, hook up with a dietitian. I feel like having a care team to help navigate that journey would be really helpful versus just doing it on your own.
Yeah, just going to the clinic and getting your injection.
Don't go to the drive-through or an IV clinic to get these weight loss drugs. I mean, I'll just say it. Vivid, we decided to close down Vivid because we were stepping on the toes of the pharmaceutical board and the medical board, and there was questions about practicing medicine without a license. And if you're not talking to a provider, like a nurse practitioner, a doctor, PA, maybe, and having questions answered by a medical provider, I would be very hesitant
to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand. I hear you.
I hear you.
I hear you.
I hear ya. So wait, Denmark will soon start putting patients suffering from type 2 diabetes on cheaper drugs before prescribing so-called GLP-1 drugs as Novo Nordisk's Ozempic.
So I was right. They don't prescribe it to their people.
Thanks for listening to Living Vividly. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. For more resources and details from today's discussion, check out the show notes. Until next time, keep living vividly.